In this video, we're going to go over the basics of Google Classroom. This would be a good review if you haven't used Classroom in a while, or just to catch up on any updates that have come to Google Classroom. This page right here that you're seeing is your Google Classroom landing page or main page. This is where you're going to see any classes that you are a member of, whether you are a teacher or you are a student. You can do things such as move them around. You can copy the invite link if you need to edit, make a copy of a class, or you can archive. If you have not created a class, you can just go up to the plus sign. If you're a student or if you're going to be a student in a class, you would click join. If you are creating a class, you would click create. But I believe most people know how to create a class, so we're not going to go over that. If you go to your class, there's 4 different main places that you need to be aware of. One, your stream. Your stream is the area where anything that you post to your students is going to show up. There are a couple different ways you could do this. You could have every assignment, every material, everything show up on your stream. Some people only like for announcements to be on your stream. Some people prefer having assignments on there, but just in abbreviated posting of that assignment. And we'll talk about how you can set that up, but there's different ways you can have your stream set up. Over on the left, you can see any upcoming work that you have due. So this is something to mention to your students. If you haven't had your students join your class, you can click on this code. The students can join your class that way. If you're using Google Meet, there is a Meet link, and this goes straight to your classroom link. You can change the theme. You can upload photos, so this is a little bit different. If you want to announce something, you do not have to go to the Classwork tab. You can just type your announcement right here. And you can send this to multiple classes. So if you have 2 classes that you are teaching and you would like each of those classes to have access, you can do that. And same thing with students, you can send this to all students or only certain students. So if you have a student who, for example, wasn't there yesterday, you can check up with them, make sure everything's okay, and make sure that they've seen the assignment from yesterday. You can add content to announcements. So let's say if you want them to view a video, a short welcome video for the day. If you want them to check out a document that you're sharing, you can add to announcements. And then you would go ahead and post. There's 2 different ways you can post. You can schedule a post. This means that you pick out another day that you want the post to go out. You can post right now, or you can save a draft. This would be helpful if maybe you're working on assignments, but you're not quite done. You're not quite ready for it to be sent out to students. You can save it as a draft. If I post that, it will be seen on my end, and it also will be seen on my students. A couple settings. I'm going to go up to settings right here. You can change any of these settings right here. Invite codes, you can turn them on and off. Your stream, this is what I was talking about. Okay, so there's a couple options you have. Students can post and comment, which means anyone can post pretty much anything on the stream. Students can only comment, so only the teacher would be posting onto the stream, but then students can comment on it. And of course, if you have commenting on, you would have a discussion with your students on what is appropriate and what is not. And then you can also set it to only teachers can post or comment. So that means that no students can post or comment on your stream. It's up to you which of those you choose. Right here, show attachments and details. So this means that pretty much everything is going to show up on your stream. Any assignment attachments. Right here, show condensed. That pretty much means that it'll show the assignment that you assigned something, but it's not going to tell you all about the assignment. or you can hide notifications. And those are from your classwork tab, not announcements. You can show deleted assignments, guardian summaries. If you do turn them on, that means that you would be able to share the guardian summaries with your parents, and you can add them by their email address. An example of a guardian summary is right here. This shows you pretty much what the student's working on, what they missed, what is due next week. And then class activity. It pretty much tells you the title and maybe a sentence from the assignment. It does not show grades. It does not show any student comments, anything like that. So that is a possibility if you would like guardian summaries on. Google Meet, there is a link that goes straight to your Google Meet if you are using that. And then you also have to set up your grading in Classroom. Do you want them to have no grading at all? Do you want total points, or do you want weighted by category? This depends on whether you're the lower school, the middle school, upper school. And then you can turn on and off whether you want to show overall student grades. You can add grade categories. So if I want to have different categories, I can just add them right here. So I'm going to go out of my settings, discard anything that I changed. There is a reuse post. So if this shows me all of my classes, so let's say I have a class right here and I want to reuse a post, you can. And you can bring it from any classroom that you have access to bring into this classroom. Let's go ahead to the classwork tab. So this is where you are going to push out the majority of your content. What I would do first when you're first setting up your class, if you're starting from scratch, I would create your topics. Topics are important because it keeps your Google Classroom organized and the students are able to find things easily. If not, it can just be a long list of items and it's very hard to find things. There's a couple ways that you can organize them. You can organize them by week. So you can have week 1, week 2, week 3. You can do it by, if you're a lower school class, you can organize it by content or topics. So language arts, math, social studies, science. You can organize it by unit. So if you're a history teacher and you're teaching one unit, you can put everything into that topic. And then when you move to the next unit, you can put everything in that topic. But it's a good way of organizing all of the content that you send out to your students. You can rename them, you can move them around. A couple things right here. You do, if you're not aware, every time you create a Google Classroom, it does create by default a folder in your Google Drive. And you'll see that for my Google Classroom, this is my folder for Classroom. I did not have to create this. It created it on its own. And then every assignment, you can see that I've been playing around a lot. It has a folder for each assignment, and this will contain all assignments turned in by students. So this is an assignment that was turned in by that student. You also have a templates folder. This is where anything that you push out that was sent to your students, you can also access it there. Also, Google Calendar. When you create a classroom, it does create a calendar for you. And you'll be able to see that calendar over here on the left. Here's my classroom calendar, and you can post to that, or everything that you post in your classroom, if you give it a due date, it will show up on that calendar. A couple other things, creating assignments. The difference between, and I've been over this once, but the difference between an assignment and quiz assignment actually by default connects a quiz to your assignment. It does not have anything on it. It's just a blank Google form, but it does connect one to that assignment. You can ask a question. So when you ask a question, your Typically, it's going to be short answer, multiple choice. And it has the same settings as any other assignment. You can give to multiple classes. You can pick the students you want to give it to. Students can reply. So if you ask a question based off of what we learned in class today, you can have students replying to each other. So they're learning together. You can also have students able to edit their answers. And again, you can either add something that you've already put into, or something you've already created, or you can create on the spot your question. Material. This would be if you wanted to post maybe beginning of school information, maybe a syllabus, anything that you want to post that you're not necessarily wanting the kids to respond to it. It's just you want to post something for them to have access to it during the school year. And you can put it in a topic. So let's, for example, if you are a lower school teacher and you're using Classroom and you would like to post for every subject, maybe a rundown of the standards, everything that you're going to be learning for that year. You could put that there. Reusing topics. You can reuse topics, like I said before. I mean, not topics, sorry. Reusing content. You can take it from any class that you do have. Right now I have no posts in there, so it's not going to show any. But when you do this, you also need to create copies of the attachments. So let's say I had a post that I used, an assignment I used last year. I do need to make sure that I do create new copies of those attachments for those students to have access. Just a couple things about an assignment. If you are adding resources, let's say a document to an assignment, there's one thing you need to make sure that you're paying attention to, and this is how your students are able to view. Do you want your students to be able to view this file? So that means that every single student in your class is going to have view only rights to that one document. So everyone will be on that one document. You can also have it so the students all edit that one document, which means if you have 20 students, you'll have 20 students editing that one document. I don't think I would recommend having the whole class edit one document, but this might be helpful if you're doing group work and you have maybe 4 students on one document. And then the other, this is 90% of the time you will be using this option, make a copy for each student. This means that each individual student will receive a copy of that document and they will be able to edit. So this one right here is typically what you're going to choose. Over here, we have our originality checker. That just means that if you have this checked, then you can run the originality reports on that assignment. And then rubrics we'll talk about a little later. Your People tab. When you click on your People tab, it shows you any teachers and students you have. If you need to add, let's say, a co-teacher, a teacher assistant, another teacher in the building, you can add them by using their email address. You can also add your students by using their email address, or you can use the invite link. Either way. You can email your student if you need to through here. Okay, now grades. When you start setting up your assignments, you will be able to see your grades that are showing up in your classroom. We'll talk about this a little later when we talk about rubrics and forms. That's pretty much the basics of Classroom, what you need to know to be able to assign documents to your students. If you have any questions on basics of Google Classroom, you can put in a help ticket, and I can come and sit and talk to you one-on-one. I hope this video helps.